Tom, it's been too long. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Brendan, for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, what exactly does PixFi bring to the Hedera space?
I think this is probably the most poignant of all the questions. Basically, what we're bringing is twofold. So it's an NFT marketplace aggregator. So it's going to aggregate 12 different chains at launch. Will expand over time, of course. And then on the back end, we're going to have the NFT DeFi. So everyone tends to treat DeFi like thinking about just trading of tokens. But the reality is that if you look at the rest of Web3, there are many different applications where you can unlock the liquidity that you have stored in an NFT by trading pairs of NFTs and tokens, and a bunch of other really fun gamified aspects of those things.
So, it's completely taking things in a different direction, bringing two very vibrant spaces that we have in the Hedera space, NFTs and the DeFi space, and kind of bringing those together, but not just bringing those together within the Hedera space, but bringing it together across multiple chains.
That's correct. Yeah. So from our perspective, we think that the Hedera community is fantastic. I mean, the NFT space is very vibrant. The DeFi space is as well. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to provide a vehicle to bring liquidity in from other places and make it a much more easy onboarding process to bring people in from other ecosystems so that they can really sort of experience the best of what can be offered here, and as well as to give HBAR barians an opportunity really to understand what's the best of the best practices elsewhere as well.
Now, this is a really broad vision. You have a lot going on. You have to deal with different chains. You have to deal with all the different creators out there. What made you want to take on such a big project like this within the Hedera space?
I blame Mei Chan. and I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory. So I started out working in the Hedera space essentially as sort of a business coach for the teams at Hashpack and SaucerSwap, because we all knew each other from overlapping from different discords, and really at one point, May basically challenged me, and she goes, "When are you going to do something?" And I said, "Well, that's interesting." I said, I've given some thought in terms of taking a looking at our space and what we don't have. And what we really don't have is we don't have aggregators. We don't have a way to basically bring our tools and our apps into the same sphere that exists in others. And a lot of that limitation was based on EVM. And so this goes back middle of 2022. But as Hedera started pumping out more and more components of the EVM and making it more robust and more viable, that was really sort of the catalyst point around November of 2022 that we said, you know what, let's give this a shot. And so we basically started the process from there. And now here we are, fast forward a year and a half later, and we're just getting ready to do our first mint and start opening the door in a closed beta.
Well, that's what we want. We want ambitious projects to build on Hedera. So before we move on to the next thing, I'm just curious, can you explain exactly what an aggregator is?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people in the NFT space will understand what OpenSea is, and OpenSea really, I think, is sort of one of the benchmarks. But one of the other benchmarks would be a marketplace like Magic Eden on Solana. Those marketplaces now support multiple chains, and that's really sort of what an aggregator is, with one caveat: there are no listings on PixFi, right? The listings that you make, so if you're going to make Hedera listings and Hedera purchases on PixFi, those are being done at Syntax. And so in the case of OpenSea, when you're making listings and making purchases off of OpenSea, from their aggregator perspective, you're still doing work on their home marketplace. We don't have a home marketplace, right? Our marketplace is everyone's marketplace.
All right, that makes perfect sense. So, whether it's a creator, whether it's one of these marketplaces, or whether it's a collector, what's their first step to get involved? Sometimes it can be kind of daunting getting involved with a new platform like this.
Exactly, and so that was one of the guiding premises that we began with, is that the onboarding needed to be something easy that your grandmother could do. We want to think about that user experience, about that user journey, where you hear something about NFTs. and you basically get access to the link to this website. And now the process of onboarding to that point, that's where the daunting part starts, right? Because in order to get involved in any of these marketplaces, what do you need? You need to have a wallet. That wallet needs to have tokens, right? Initially, that kickoff point is sort of a barrier of entry for many people because they just don't understand how this all works. And then, well, I'm not even going to get into key management and all those other pieces. But what we wanted to start off with was something that was very easily accessible. So it's a social login, so it's an email login. So we partnered with Magic Labs. Magic Labs makes the wallet as a service plugin for apps. It's very popular with many large enterprises. So it's built to be enterprise grade. It supports 27 chains and growing. I think you recently would have seen that Galaxy recently also adopted the Magic Labs wallet. And so that was sort of the one entry point there. And then the other piece, obviously, is how do you start funding all of these things? And that was where we basically said, okay, well, obviously, this is going to have Stripe integrated into the workflow as well. So let's just make it easy for people to be able to onboard. Not worrying about plugins to MoonPay. I'm not worried about all those other things. I'm thinking about, okay, if you want to go and have that experience of buying your first NFT, you're going to use your email to log in and create an account on PixFi, and then you're going to basically use your credit card to make that first purchase. Boom, done.
All right. So what do you have as far as features and chains right now, and what's next on your roadmap?
Great. So we're just about to go off live with our mint on the 26th, and that's going to be for our Founders Token Collection. And that token collection was designed by a very talented NFT artist named Bionassus, and it represents the 12 chains that we'll be supporting and being integrated in 2024. So it includes Hedera, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana. Then the next wave is going to be Avalanche, Algorand, Aptos, and Binance Smart Chain, right? BNB. And then the last wave will be Phantom, Tezos, Moonbeam, and Near. So those are going to be sort of the first chains that are going to be opened up. And then on the DeFi side, the first tools that we'll be putting in place on the DeFi side will be an NFT rental contract. There'll be a peer-to-peer rental contract, as well as a peer-to-peer lending contract. This will be a nice balance to what we're seeing coming out in the ecosystem with Bonzo Finance. So you'll basically be able to, take your tokens, create, get yourself, set up a lending protocol there. You can take your NFTs and do the same thing at PixFi.
Tom, what I love is, I've heard Centex, how you're working with them. I've heard Bonzo Finance around the lending and borrowing. It's great to see how the different pieces and parts of this ecosystem are coming together and working together to improve your products across the board.
We're all family. Else? Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we're all
exactly
right, and we all have to get along, and we all have to understand the role that we each play. Just because we have a wallet built in to PixFi doesn't mean that Hashpack is not a significantly important partner for us. Because essentially, I don't want to have all of the token swaps and all the other aspects that you would typically find in a wallet. And so this is where having that partnership with Hashpack, having that partnership with Saucer Swap, all of that, right? Plus Bonzo, Centex, all of that combined, Headstarter, Hashport. These are all critical pieces that that'll be part of that whole puzzle, and several other, I think, logos that you've seen announced that have done work through the foundation as well will also be taking part, right? So things like XP.network, right, for basically moving NFTs across chain by wrapping them and bridging them to other places. Again, these are all things that the foundation has been doing to basically build that infrastructure, and we're at a point now where we can all really start leveraging and taking advantage of all of that. There's I think, a bright future ahead for what's going to happen on Hedera as a network. It's just taking us a little bit longer time to get there where we would like to have been.
It happened slowly at first and then all at once. Well, Tom, thank you so much for swinging on today and explaining PixFi and everything you're working on.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Brandon. And just remember, everybody, pixfi.io. Come check out the mint on the 26th, and then there'll be we'll have 2 more mints after that, spread out about 6 weeks apart, and then after that, you get into the INO and you get access to the Pix token.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR Weekly update. So check them out.